Hello and welcome to a new vlog and video of the cruise vibes, and today we're taking a look at day 2 of my ship and bike cruise with the Princess of SE Tours, and I was there on invitation of SE Tours. Here on the map you can see our route today. Red is the route that we are taking with the ship and blue is the route that I'm taking with the bicycle. We're starting in the morning after the breakfast with taking over our bikes. Of course, adjusting everything, and then it was time to start. You can either print out the route or you can use an app on your phone to make sure that you will find your route. I would recommend taking a holder for your phone, which you can put on the handlebar, but you can also put it in the bag that is attached to the front of the bike, as I did here. You can see it, but I would recommend taking a phone holder with you. It's making it a bit more easy. Here we are leaving Stralsund, where the cruise started, where we also started our bike tour, and we are now heading over the so-called Stralsund-Querung, or Stralsund crossing. Here we have the so-called Ziegelgraben bridge that we are crossing to get on the island Dänholm, and then on the other side of the island we are continuing on to the island of Rügen. Here we have a nice view of the new bridge and the city of Stralsund, and in the far distance our beautiful princess. Here I'm leaving the island of Dänholm, continuing on a dam and on a bridge onto the island of Rügen, and this dam is also used by cars and by trains, so quite interesting. And now we are on the island of Rügen. And on this island we will have a bike tour of officially about 48 kilometers today to our destination in Lauterbach. So let me shortly explain how ship and bike is working. It is a combination of a cruise and a bike holiday. So we're staying on the ship for 7 days, for example, but when the ship is sailing we're not always staying on the ship, but we're going parallel to the ship on the bike. And today our tour will be 48 kilometers. On this cruise you are going on your own, not in a big group. You just get the app and the map, and then you can cycle in your own pace. You just get the time when you have to be at your destination, and then you can decide whether you want to go a bit faster or slower. This is completely up to you. Just follow the app, which is coming with a map, so it's quite easy to find your way. If you want to see something else, you can also use a different route. It's just a suggestion by SE Tours which route to take. On this cruise it consists of concrete paths, of gravel paths, so a lot of different undergrounds to cycle on, and of course you can also decide what kind of bike you want to use. You don't have to bring your own bike, you will get a bike from the ship. You can get a regular bike or you can also get an e-bike. I wanted to have a regular bike because I wanted to do a bit of sport, so I decided I don't want to have the e-bike, but it's up to you. E-bike of course is a bit more expensive, but you can choose what kind of bike you want to have. And if you take a look at this time lapse here, you can see that the cycle path that we are on right now is quite flat with long curves. And that is because we are cycling on a former railway line. That used to be the Rügensche Kleinbahn, that means the Rügen Narrow Gauge Railway. Part of it is still in use, but this part here is not in use anymore. It is now a cycle path, so that means that we have a very nice underground, a very nice cycle path, and we are following this railway line for quite a long time, and most of our tour today consists of the former railway line. Later on in the next video I will always give you some more information about these ship and bike cruises, what you should bring, some tips, some ideas. So just make sure to watch all the videos coming now from the Princess, and in the end you will know everything you need to know about the ship and bike cruise. In the meantime I've reached the city of Peenemünde, and there is a restaurant, the Hafen Restaurant Peenemünde. Usually they are closed at this time, but they especially opened up for us, for the guests of the Princess. So I decided to take a break here and enjoy an alcohol-free beer before continuing on to our destination in Lauterbach. Usually you are on the bike during lunchtime. That means that you don't get lunch on board, but you can take a lunchbox from the ship with you. I personally do not like lunchboxes, so I just decided to take a break in a restaurant, but that's up to you. Then I took a short detour, and that was an option in the app, but our tour guide already informed us in the meeting before the cruise that it's a bad idea to take it, but I still took it. As you can see, the way is not very good. My GoPro is stabilizing the image, but you saw how much the back was dancing. The way is pretty bad, but I wanted to go to a place called Schabernack. Schabernack is a German word that kind of can be translated with the prank, but is a very specific German word which does not have a proper translation, but you could best translate it by saying you're doing Schabernack if you're doing a lot of pranks and you do nonsense. So it's a quite funny German word, and it's quite interesting that there's a place that is actually called Schabernack. So that's why I wanted to see this place, and then I continued on through a very nice forest, again on the former railway line. Also the landscape was pretty nice. Only thing I have to say about this day, about this tour, there are almost no restaurants on the way, so I also decided to go the whole 48, or in my case 55 kilometers, with just this short break at the harbor restaurant, but that was too early for lunch. And then the next possibility was already in Putbus or Lauterbach at the end of the tour, so I went all the way to the end of the tour, and then I had lunch there. Meanwhile, we've reached Putbus. Putbus is the biggest city in between. It's a very beautiful city, as you can see, a lot of white houses with roses in front of it. That's typical for Putbus. Here we are at the market with the monument, and then we continue on to the most famous site of Putbus, and that is the circus. The circus is a big circular place in the middle of the city with a road around it and an obelisk in the middle. Here I'm going around this place. Of course, it's more spectacular if you see it from above or on a map. If you just cycle around it, it's not that spectacular, but still I wanted to see it, and it's not taking too long to do a small tour around it. And then I continued on to Lauterbach, the end of today's tour. Just as I arrived there, also my princess arrived there. Here we can see her arriving, going into the port of Lauterbach. Still took quite a while, so I was watching her arriving, and then still I had to wait a bit before I could return my bicycle and continue exploring a bit of Lauterbach, because there was a ship in front of us, the Sans Souci of Plantours, and that ship was leaving, and we took her docking location, so that took quite a while. The Sans Souci was a bit delayed, but eventually they left, and then we took her docking location and I could return my bike. Of course, I'm getting the same bike again tomorrow, but the crew will bring it back on board. And in the meantime I went to the Hafenrestaurant zum kleinen Leuchtturm. Harbor Restaurant Small Lighthouse would be the English name. There I had a very nice lunch, a bit late, but still a very good lunch. After that I took a train, not the narrow gauge railway, which is quite famous here in Lauterbach, but the regular train. You will see that in the next video. And after that it was time to head back on board, and it was time for the sail away. We are leaving Lauterbach. Now we're also sailing with the ship. Of course, you're not only cycling, but there's a combination of a cruise and cycling. And now we are changing the island, and that's something special, because we are not on a river anymore, we're actually on the ocean with the river cruise ship. Of course it is a bay, it's protected, but it is officially an ocean. Here we are sailing past the Junker Jörg, yet another river cruise ship sailing here in this area, but there are only a handful of ships that are able to sail here in this area. Of course, because of the height of the bridges, so the regular river cruise ships are just too big, also for locks, they're too long, they're too wide. But also you need to have a special license, and only a handful of ships can get this license to be allowed to sail on these coastal waters, because officially it's an ocean, it's a bay, and a regular river cruise ship is not intended to be sailing here. They are too long, some of them have quite low windows, which could be dangerous if they're a bit bigger waves. So only a handful of ships can sail here, and the Princess of course is one of them. So for me this was something very interesting, and I watched this from the restaurant. Here you can see the very nice dinner. Of course it's not really necessary to go into a restaurant for lunch. You can take the lunchbox and that is more than enough with a nice breakfast and a nice dinner. 4 courses. But of course I'm on holiday, so I still wanted to have a nice lunch, and that's why I went to the restaurant, but it's not necessary. So if you're traveling on a budget, breakfast, lunchbox and dinner will be more than enough food. But if you want to have a bit more of a luxurious holiday, you can also replace the lunchbox with a proper restaurant. Here you can see slight movement of the water. Ship was slightly moving, but not comparable to an ocean cruise. Of course the weather was perfect today for the crossing, but it was something special. As you can see, almost no land in sight, just some islands. And that on a river cruise ship, that was something special, and I enjoyed it with a glass of wine on the sun deck during a beautiful sunset. So I really enjoyed this evening. That was very, very nice. Something very special, very enjoyable. And we were now heading to the island Usedom, to the port of Peenemünde, where we are staying for the night. And from there we are continuing tomorrow with the next tour with the bike. More about this tour in 2 videos. Next video will be the train video. I try to make sure to have always a train video in between, so that I have a video for every interest every now and then, as there were a lot of ship videos in the last weeks, so there will be some more train videos as well now. And here we are approaching the port of Peenemünde, and Peenemünde is famous for its rocket research center, the Peenemünde Army Research Center, which used to be here in the Second World War. There are a lot of remains. I will tell you a bit more about this in the upcoming video, but there is, for example, a submarine, which is now a museum, and a lot of other museum ships. Very interesting. Also the Junker Jörg was going here, so we were both docking here in Peenemünde for the night. I took a short walk in the evening and I took a look at some of those old ships here in the port. But then it was time to head back to my cabin to go to sleep, because tomorrow of course I have to be fit again for the next bike tour. And that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video.